Howdy everybody. It's bright and sunshiny now, but a little colder and breezier today, and it's Z-Car Day under the shade tree. This is going to be a relatively simple affair. We're going to be putting new brake pads on all four wheels. Now this one has the Brembo brake set up, so I'm going to have to stare at what I'm doing and figure it out as I go. But I imagine it's going to be relatively easy to service. I'm picturing something that's going to look very similar to a Volvo or maybe a big Toyota 4Runner with a big brake package. Should be the same stuff. Dual pistons on the back, quads it looks like on the front. Not a whole lot to do that. What an interesting representation of a Eugene, Oregon car, by the way. Don't see that everywhere, do you? Well, in any event, let's get this thing up in the air, get it high, and get the brake pads off. Okay, now that I got the wheel off, I'm pretty happy about what I see. That should service like an old Volvo or any other dual piston caliper, no problem to deal with. Looks like we're a drum on hat configuration for a parking brake, which means I don't need to release the parking brake to service this. Looks like my caliper removal bolts are real easy to get to and real plain Jane. So I should have this caliper off in my hand in just a second. Should be a simple matter of popping out them slide pins. Hopefully that's pretty easy. Yeah, so I see how this works. Thankfully, that was straightforward enough to get off of the car, and it looks straightforward enough to service. From what I see, I release these two pins, and I pull out these pins, and then my pads should just fall out. Looks like I'm going to have to clean up and reuse that piece here, and I'm going to clean up everything. We're keeping it real basic today. This is Bendix Stop. This is my go-to economy grade product. They're good. That's what we need to have here. FE friction coefficient. Fit the cars well. Install well. Name brand stuff. We can do higher dollar, but these are toast. These back ones aren't so terrible. The front ones are extra bad. Oh, there goes another one who needs my help, it sounds like. But, again, I'll take the new cheap ones that say stop on it over the wore-out, expensive-ass Brembos all day. Let's get them put on this car and make sure everything works how I think. Always never. My dual-piston caliper tool's trying to let me down, which sucks, and especially going to suck when I get to the front. Thankfully, I had the hand strength to just compress them cylinders back in with my thumbs, and they're where they go. So we'll be able to move forward. Now let me clean this up the rest of the way and get them new pads stomped in there. There's one corner all padded up and as clean as I'm likely to get it for right this minute. Should be relatively simple to slip that back over the rotor and bolt it down. Rinse repeat on the other side, then we'll get onto the front. Hung back on the car and pressurized up properly. So that was cool. Made relatively short work of that, and the other one's going to go a lot quicker as I'm practiced now. Let's get this wheel back on this car, get that other side open. Well, to successfully take care of the rear calipers, they're two piston. These are four. I've got my questions, but I don't see why the same techniques won't do the job. Either we'll have them on and off very quickly, or we'll have to abort until I can purchase another tool. Frickin' sadly. You'd think between all the brake kit here, everything would be here, but only takes one cheap eBay tool to say I'm done for you to stop you up. That being said, got the other ones done on the rear by hand. We'll see if I can accomplish that here. Looks like these work exactly the same way, just bigger and more of it. Let's get these caliper bolts pulled down. Yep, they feel like they're the same size. Let's get them off the caliper and get her down. We're almost out of daylight, but we should have just enough to get it done under the lights. That's 3 out of 4 installed. Looking happy, looking good. These aren't too hard to deal with other than using my hands and thumbs to compress 4-piston calipers. Thankfully, I only have to do that one more shot, and then I can go take some aspirin. Let's get the wheel on this one and get it finished. Of course, it took to the last one for me to fully figure out how to handle these 4-piston calipers without the correct tool. I did them 100% by hand on all 3 of the other wheels. This side, I got smart. I took my brake spoon and I stuck it between my pad and my rotor and just mash them both all the way until I pull it off. That made quick work of it. So this took me way longer than it should have. That being said, it sure is going to be happier than what these pads right here had to offer. So let's get the wheel on the car and get this one done right now. They're ready and so am I. Seeing them come, but I like seeing them leave even better. Here goes a Nissan with new brake pads on all four wheels, and it should be smooth and quiet by the time they get home. Cheap Bendix stop brand pads, got it done. Taught myself a few new tricks to get it done. It's dark, we got shit everywhere. We'll deal with that in a minute. I'm gonna go in and get warm first.